All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Scenarios of E, the Devil. Pretty much what you're looking at in front of you is a meme that brother sent me earlier. You know, this is something that's been going around from The Simpsons. Like you see the title, The Simpsons have done it again. And you see the news reporter reporting on the coronavirus, you know. And it's been spreading to different countries, you know, according to reports. Now, this is predictive programming, but these are the scenarios of E, you know, the devil that the Bible speaks of, the so-called white men, the Edomites. And this is how they get down, you know. Everyone thinks that this devil is there for their best interests, and they're always trying to find solutions to better the way of living, you know, sustainable living and all of that. And pretty much what they're doing is they just pretty much have a plan at hand to depopulate the earth. Because according to the Georgia Guidestones, they want to maintain humanity under 500 million people in perfect balance with nature, according to them. Now, presently, there are over 7.5 billion people. And you remember in the report, or that excuse me, that speech that Bill Gates gave, he said is quickly going to 9 million. And we already see it at it's getting close to 8 billion people. I believe if I said millions, 9 billion people. And he said that we could do it, you know, we could do a careful, you know, like a careful, what you call it, however he worded it, through vaccines and all of that stuff, you know. They could get one of those problems to zero, because there are different problems on the planet. You know, he said one of them is the population, because it's always been about depopulation. You know, so these predictive programming is to show you, you know, how Esau plans, you know, on doing this thing. Now, in this particular episode, the coronavirus started in Brazil, but here you got some some kind of Moabite looking dudes here, you know. So, you know, this devil, he's very clever in how he does things, but he's wicked and at the same time reckless. He's wicked and reckless. That's a title of a lesson right there. He's wicked and reckless. He's wicked and reckless. Now, this is something I wanted to bring out on one of the other lessons, but I didn't get a chance to. This is from Big League Politics. It says, "What the fuck? Gates Foundation sponsored training for fictional coronavirus outbreak that caused 65 million deaths last year." Salaki, it wasn't, The Simpsons wasn't in Brazil. It was this training that took place, you know, the supposed threat came from Brazil. So it says, did they know what was coming? Hell yeah, they knew what was coming. That shouldn't even be a question. It should just be a statement. They knew it was coming. It says, before this year's very real coronavirus pandemic that started in China and is now sweeping the globe, a fictional simulation of such an event was sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation last year. Event 201, and when you look up Event 201, it gives you the breakdown of what it is right here. But they kind of give you a brief breakdown of what it is. Event 201, which was hosted by Johns Hopkins Center at Health Security, took place in October 2018 and featured a simulation in which a novel zoonotic, you know, which is transmitted from animals, coronavirus spread. It says throughout the world and caused 65 million deaths worldwide. In the preparedness scenario, the coronavirus started in Brazil rather than China. Now, back between 1918 and 1920, when you had the Spanish influenza, it wiped out a good amount of people. I forget the number, but it was in the millions. But you got to remember that now, with the way things are, this could be more devastating because travel is a lot faster and a lot quicker now. There's shipping containers, there's people, crossing, coming into this country illegally, going to other countries illegally. There's people that are traveling every day. There's flights coming from all over the world into different parts of the world. So it's a lot easier to spread, this particular virus than it was back in 1918. And remember, the population back in 1918 wasn't as much as it is today. I believe the population back then was about 2 billion, if I'm not mistaken, on my calculations, just around 2 billion. And see, from that point until now, how many more people have, been brought upon the earth. And my belief is that, that these people are being brought back upon the earth for judgment. A lot of them are being brought back on the earth for judgment through their reincarnations. And that's why there's so many people on the planet right now. And the Lord has a judgment that he's going to bring. All right. It says, once you're in the midst of a severe pandemic, your options are very limited, said Eric Toner, a senior scholar at the Center for Health Security at Johns Hopkins University. The greatest good can happen with pre-planning. It says the event was hosted in New York City and attended by some of the most influential business leaders, government officials, and health officials. It says, and according to, what brothers have sent out, which is true, they have patents for this virus, So why would you have patents for a virus that just supposedly appeared out of nowhere? There's a lot of fishy shit going on. Attendees claimed that it really helped them rethink how they would handle disaster preparedness if such a situation were to arise. It says it really does shake up assumptions and change thinking about how we can prepare for a global pandemic. See? A global pandemic, says Tom Inglesby, director of the Center of Health Security. Some of the highlights from the conference can be seen here, and they give you a video where you can watch. And all of these articles that I'm going to go through are in the description box. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Globalist World Economic Forum helped to put on the event. The coronavirus was described in the training as being similar to SARS, but slightly more transmissible, like the flu, and slightly more lethal. We don't have a vaccine for SARS or MERS or various avian flu viruses that have come up in the past decade, Toner said, noting how the situations described in Event 201 could easily take place. That's because vaccine development is slow and difficult if there isn't an immediate market for it. Widespread allegations have also emerged that patents were issued for the coronavirus, which they are, perhaps in anticipation for its release upon the masses. They know exactly what they're doing. Coronavirus is a man-made virus that was filed for a patent in 2015 and granted in 2018. A vaccine for it went into trial testing on January 1st, 2020, and conveniently the U.S. had its first confirmed case coronavirus just 3 weeks later. And they got some stuff here, some links. The coronavirus patent is owned by Pirbright Institute. Their primary funders, according to Devex, is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it gives you some more links here. Billionaire oligarch Bill Gates has warned, or perhaps threatened, that a pandemic is coming that could kill millions, and a globalist response would be necessary in response to it. In the case of biological threats, that sense of urgency is lacking, he said. The world needs to prepare for pandemics in the same serious way it prepares for war. Perhaps Gates just showed incredible foresight in choosing the coronavirus mass death simulation just months before the real thing would show itself. Or maybe this is just another case of predictive programming, which it is, from a global cabal capable of unfathomable evil. Yeah, and there was a prince, or I forget who it was, his name, but he said if he dies, he would like to be reincarnated as a virus so he can wipe out humanity or something along those lines. So we saw in this Simpson episode, which I'm not sure when this particular Simpson episode aired, but they showed the coronavirus, and they show it right here. They're showing you right here, and they show some type of animal. I don't know if it's a cat or what it is. Let's move on. We already, brothers could read this. I believe I put this in the description box, and if not, you could click right here on this particular article here that we read. This article here, they have a link to it. Right, where did it go? Right here. Took place in it right here. So now let's go to the next one. CDC confirms first person-to-person transmission of new coronavirus in U.S. So now it was supposed to be transmissible by animals. Now it's transmissible by citizens, person to person. All right. This is dated January 30, 2020, which is the year of prophecy. Today being the 31st. The Centers for Disease Control, CDC, has confirmed the first person-to-person transmission of 2019 novel coronavirus in the United States. The CDC announced Thursday a woman who was confirmed to be infected with the coronavirus in Chicago, Illinois, transmitted it to her husband. Last week, health officials said the woman, who is in her 60s, reported feeling sick when she arrived home to Chicago from Wuhan on January 13. CDC officially say the woman's husband immediately started experiencing symptoms of the virus, and that the wife is doing okay. The first U.S. case of the coronavirus was confirmed early last week in the state of Washington, which was in Seattle, which was not too far from Spokane, which the movie Toxic Skies, that's where the scenario took place of that virus, in Spokane, Washington. How convenient. Officials say they were able to detect the virus early in the patient, who is a man in his 30s, or a patient, who is a man in his 30s. All right, so you brothers can read the rest. So now let's go into some scriptures now. We're going to start here in the Apocrypha, in the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12. Because there's a point in here that we want to get to that shows what Esau is all about. As a matter of fact, since this other scripture came to mind, let's get this one first. This is the book of Psalms 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And pretty much they can do these things because the world and the whole globe, the whole planet is given into their hands. As we read in the book of Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And they have the power to do this. They have the power to destroy, and they have the power to help. It's in their hands, but the Lord is only going to let them go so far. Woe to them that desire iniquity. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. So this, what they have is in the power of their hands. The word for devise, that's what I was looking for, is the word chashab. To think, plan, esteem, calculate, invent, make a judgment, imagine, count. Because this is not merely a coincidence for this training to be going on a year before this thing actually gets released. And prior to this, when you look at this program, The Simpsons, which people look at it as a cartoon, but they have a lot of predictive programming that comes through this Simpsons. And people don't take it serious because it's a cartoon, so they'll watch it for entertainment, not knowing that this is one of the very cartoons that are always bringing out stuff that happens in the news later on. So it says to think, account, or imagine, make a judgment, invent, calculate. So they're esteeming, they're making judgments, they're calculating, they're inventing. You know, they're putting this thing, they're devising these plans, and they're actually putting them to use. Because remember, it says, before, let's go to this one here, and then we'll come back. Psalm 64 and 6. They search out iniquities. See, they accomplish a diligent search. Why? Because it's in the power of their hands to do this. Both the inward thought of every one of them and their heart is deep, because they have a lot of deep secrets that they're planning. But what's happening is the Lord is throwing monkey wrenches in there, because, you know, the Lord is exposing it so that we can get a hold of it, you know, and it can be brought out, because a part of the Lord destroying this devil is revealing him. Salaki, brothers. You know, so that right there is showing you that this devil is being revealed by the hands of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You know, because, you know, they have to be revealed before anything could actually be done about it. Matter of fact, there's another verse in here, right here, verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. See? And the Lord is setting that up on all levels, so that there's going to be some people that the majority of people are going to fall into his bullshit, but there's going to be some that's going to get away from him. The main people that's going to get away from him are the elect of the nation of Israel. But you do have certain people that are awake from other nations, Edomites and all that are getting away from Esau because of the information that's out there. You know? And this is the Lord revealing this devil's plan. So that's Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity. And this is sin. That's wickedness, to create something that can destroy people's lives. They're pretty much murdering people through these different novelty or different viruses and things that they're creating and releasing upon the unsuspecting public. It says, and work evil upon their beds, because remember, the scriptures say that they cannot sleep unless they cause some type of mischief. When the morning is light, they practice it. Why? Because it is in the power of their hands. So they have the power to do it, and that's why they do it. And the word for power, check this out, which we always say the word for God is power, Allah. Allah. God like one, mighty one. So they acting like the Most High. That's why the scriptures say that they shall be like the Most High, because they're the ones determining now who lives and who dies. And how do we know that? Simply just by going to the Georgia Guidestones, which are the 10 commandments, the 10 demonic commandments of Esau. And the very first one is maintain humanity under 500 million in perfect balance with nature. Who the fuck gave you the authority to decide who lives and who dies? See, this is the warped mind of E. That's another title right there for lesson. The warped mind of E. All right, this is Isaiah 14:13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High, which they did. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, which are the Israelites, and the sides of the North America. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. How are they doing that? With their ships, with their shuttles. It says, I will be like the Most High. So now they're saying that they will be like the Most High. Why? Because it is in the power of their hand. And when you look up that word power in the book of Micah, it's the word Allah, or God. So they are the God-like on the planet. So because they have searched these things out, and they have the power to do these things. Just like the Most High is the omnipotent, you know, the all-powerful, and he can do whatever the hell he wants to do. So Esau is doing that on a small scale on the earth, but he's doing it reckless. See, the Most High is calculated, very strategic in what he's doing, because he has a plan, a righteous plan. But this devil has a power, and he's using it recklessly. That's what the scriptures call them, carelessly, that they live carelessly. You know, they live without a care. And they'll do things and for one purpose, and then sometimes the shit gets out of control because they're violent in the earth. They're the lowest species of people on the planet. They're even lower than animals. They always compare. They always saying, that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, are nothing more than animals. Well, they're lower than animals. They're the lowest species of beast on the planet. And this is another reason why they're called, the beast in Revelation. And the Lord said in Genesis the 3rd chapter that there will be lower than anything on the planet. They'll be the lowest form of life form. And the Lord said he sets over this empire that belongs to him. The bases of men he sets up over them. You see? And even it says in the book of Psalms that, when wicked men, how does that go? Let me get that real quick. I don't want to butcher it. Psalms 12:8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. And you see that. And this is why you see the world in the chaotic state that it's in. Why? Because Esau's ruling. Homosexuality is rampant. Transvestites, transgenders, lesbians, pedophiles, just zoophiliacs, every form of perverseness out there is out in the world, and it's condoned by Esau and it's pushed by Esau. So that's why it says the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted, and this kingdom was given to them. They have the power or the godlike status on the planet to make these decisions because they rule in it. But they rule in it in wickedness and don't think that there's going to be any repercussions coming to them. So it says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So they're trying to be like the Most High. Why? Because they have the power. See? Because it is in the power of their hands. And we just looked up the word power. And you got the word Allah, which is God. So they have that God-like status on the earth. And they've deceived themselves into thinking that they are the Most High. Let's go to Ezekiel 28. And 2. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. Now let's go to that. I am a God. Right here. Or Yahweh. Well, he thinks he is the Most High, the Most High. Because Salaki, that's what the Lord spoke to what the Lord spoke to Ezekiel. Salaki for that. I jumped the gun. Because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. See? Allah, God, power. And we read back here in Micah 2:1, because it is in the power of their hands. So they have the God-like status, power, Allah, the God-like status on the planet to make these decisions. They could help or they could destroy. So it says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, which is all these different people. Yet thou art a man and not the Most High, though thou set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. So it's one thing to set your mind as heart as the heart of the Heavenly Father, and that's called a God complex. Let's look this up. Let's see what comes up. A God complex is an unshakable belief characterized by consistently inflated feelings of personal ability, privilege, or infallibility. If that's not Esau, I don't know who is. If that doesn't describe this devil, these so-called white people, beginning with the international bankers, I don't know what does. A God complex is an unshakable belief. So they've deceived the world so much that through their own deception, they believe that lie. They actually believe that they are the Most High. A God complex is an unshakable belief characterized by consistently inflated feelings of personal ability, privilege, or infallibility. And this is why they have programs in place like what? Eugenics, so-called good genes, to eradicate, different so-called shortcomings, because they're trying to create the perfect human among themselves. Like the Most High is incapable of creating that. The Most High set up everything the way it is because he said his how does that go? Let me just get it real quick. I can't think of the quote. Just bear with me real quick. It says, this is 2 Corinthians 12:9. He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So the Most High strength is made perfect in weakness, and that's why we are in the low condition that we're in, and we're not perfect. No, perfect in understanding, but as far as bodily, wise, physically, we're not. But this is of the Most High. But this devil said, no, we're going to get some eugenics to change these genes around. We're going to play God. We're going to splice this and splice that gene and get rid of this problem and that problem so that we can have an enhanced human being. And this is also why they're going into AI, merging man with machine. Let's get eugenics real quick. Eugenics, the science of improving a human population by controlled breeding to increase the occurrence of desirable heritage characteristics, developed largely by Francis Galton as a method of improving the human race. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that. And Esau does it now, where they take certain genes out of people, to make the so-called perfect human. Because they are the devil. They're demons. So we're reading back in Ezekiel that and not the Most High. You're not the Most High. Matter of fact, let's read this whole verse again. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said I am a power. So like it, brothers. Let me calm my spirit down a little bit. I sit in the seat of the Most High, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not the Most High, though thou set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel, there is no secret that they can hide from thee. So this is why we're reading that the heart of every one of them is deep, because they've searched these things out. Why? Because it's in the power of their hands. So they're in a godlike state on the planet, because they lord over everyone. And they have the final decision on things. And instead of doing the right thing, they're doing the wrong thing and trying to kill people off. And this is why we have the Georgia Guidestones. We have the Georgia Guidestones, ladies and gentlemen. And what's the very first one? Let's see if we can enhance that, enlarge that. Let's see. Right there. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, who gave you the authority to do that? But this is why they've deceived themselves. Let's go to that real quick. Let's go to Obadiah. Obadiah 1 and 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. This is dealing with Esau. When we read the first verses concerning Edom, the Edomites. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee. They've been deceived into, because they were given the power, they've been deceived into thinking that they are the Most High and that they can make decisions that only the Most High could make. Because they have that power and they've abused that power. And this is why you see all these predictive programmings and these event 201 scenario where Back in 2018, they did a simulation of the coronavirus, you know, and then a year later, and then it says from bats to pigs to people. And remember in the movie Contagion, that's what happened. There was some bat dropping or something that fell on a piece of pork. Then the chef, the Moabite chef, you know, had to taste his food, so he tasted it. He had it. He shook the chick's hand, and then it just kept spreading. You know, CDC confirms first person-to-person transmission of the new coronavirus in the U.S. And then this predictive programming in The Simpsons, where there was a virus that was being spread. And then on the news, in this cartoon, they put what? The coronavirus. Come on, man. It's not just a coincidence. And then this, what we just spoke about here, the Event 201 scenario, which was Bill and Melinda Gates. So it says, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. And that doesn't fit nobody else but Esau. That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Because they done deceived themselves so much that they don't even think the Most High can bring them down. Because the pride of thine heart has deceived thee. So they deceived their own self. So back in Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So they are in a godlike state to make these decisions. There was another scripture we were... Okay, that was in the... Let me see. Let's go back to Psalms 64. All right, Psalm 64:6. They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. See, these things run deep, and this is why the Lord said that thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. It says, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded, because the Lord is going to destroy their whole situation. He's going to bring them down. He's going to take them out of that lofty place. He's going to break their deception. He's going to break that iron will that Esau has. That deception that has taken over him. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. And this is why you have some that defect from the so-called Illuminati, and they go on a campaign to expose them. All that see them shall flee away. And the ones that see the plans that they're doing, they're going to flee away from that. Because if this situation with the coronavirus, if the symptoms really start showing up out there in the public and people start seeing that, guess what they're going to do? They're going to run quickly to go get a vaccine. And that vaccine could be infected with the virus itself. Remember I Am Legend. You know, the lady, I forgot her name, Dr. whatever her name was. Was it Crippen? Because it was a Crippen virus. I'm not sure if her name was Crippen, Alice Crippen or something like that. And she said, you know, she was all proud. Yeah, you know, we found the cure for cancer and we've cured all the cases of cancer, something along those lines. And then 3 years later, everything was destitute. There were quarantine signs all throughout the movie. When you look throughout the movie, there were quarantine signs everywhere. All throughout New York, you know, because that's where the so-called epicenter of, you know, that outbreak in that particular movie, you know. So then when you go and you see him, when you see him at the beginning driving down the street on the buildings, you see on all the different buildings, quarantine. All right. It says, all that see them shall flee away, but most people are going to go run to them because they still have this thought in their mind that the government is in their best interest, which they're not. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High. Why? Because they're going to see these things happening. After a while, people are going to start, be like, you know what? Now, I don't know. People have been saying that God don't exist. You know, even atheists going to be like, I don't know. I'm going to have to rethink this atheist thing. Because the things that are going to come on the earth are going to be of supernatural, you know, they're going to be supernatural. And people are not going to understand it. And that's why when the prophets saw it, they were afraid. And they wondered if they would be protected. Who will protect me in those days? See? For they shall wisely consider of his doing. Because some people are going to wisely consider of the Lord's doings. Because right now they're giving, everything, a credit for doing the things that the Most High does. The air, the wind, the sun, the moon, the stars, this and that. But they don't give the Creator, Mother Nature. They don't give the Creator, Yahweh, the credit that he deserves for doing the things that he does. So he's going to make it's going to be plain by the things that are coming upon the earth, that people are going to be horrified, and they're going to be like, you know what, man, I don't know. Let me see something. There's a precept. Just bear with me 1 second. Damn, I hate when it does that. Let's see, let me try this one. There it is. Let me see. Right, Isaiah 8:21. And they shall pass through it, hardly be stead and hungry, and it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, that they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, meaning their idols, and look upward. Why? Because they're going to be looking for answers. Let me get Salakia. Oh Lord, this is something else. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. Because there's going to be a lot of devastation going on. Now let's go to Ecclesiastes 12:5. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, the Most High. No, Yahweh Shai, the angels, they're going to be afraid. Why? Because the Lord is going to make his presence known. Let's go real quick to Luke 21:11. I'm sorry, not 11. Let's go there. Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity. They're going to be perplexed. Why? Because these things are going to be supernatural things that are going to be happening. The chariots and the devastation that's going to be happening. It's going to be of biblical proportions. Why? Because it is of the Bible, which everyone is trying to downplay and push to the side. The sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. See? So the Lord is going to rock this place, man. So now Ecclesiastes 12:5, also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, the Most High, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, right? Because everything that they desire for is going to fail. Why? Because it's the time of the visitation of this whole America, Babylon the Great. Because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets, because there's going to be nothing but mourning. The woes and the lamentations and of the scriptures are going to be a reality on the planet. And that's why all these things are happening. So let's go back. Isaiah 8:21. And they shall pass through it, hardly be stead and hungry, and it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. And even 2/3 of Israel is going to be looking to the Most High. You know what the Lord's going to tell them? Look, go to the gods that you've been worshiping, man. Ask the so-called white man. You were bound to him. You were worshiping him. Go over there. Those jakes that was worshiping Buddha and Hindu and all that. Go over there. Don't bother me with that. You didn't trust in me before, so don't come over here with that. Don't come to me with that bullshit. You know? So it's gonna get nasty, man. Now, going back to this this thing here, this training that they did, event 201, right? This training that they did. These devils are always pushing for vaccinations. There's nothing wrong with the vaccination. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't worry. They'll smile in your face, you know. But they got them daggers ready for you. Ecclesiastes 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So no matter what, even if he's smiling in your face, don't trust him. Because that's his way of making you let your guard down. That's why every time you see these Edomites, you brothers could attest to it. You go to somewhere where you got a bunch of Edomites and they see Jake, what do? Smile. And they try to get you to smile so that they can feel comfortable. You know? It says, for like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. So just because he's smiling at you and, you know, acting all nice with you, don't trust that devil. Don't trust that bastard. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass. Just like if you were looking at yourself in the mirror. You know? In other words, don't take your eyes off of his ass. It says, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. Because you look at these devils long enough and you hear and listen to them long enough, their true intentions are going to come out. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So you can't trust these devils on nothing, no levels. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh a wild beast? Nobody, because they shouldn't have been fucking with the serpent and them wild beasts in the first place. Like you see a lot of them when animals attack. Who's there? Bunch of goddamn Edomites. Fucking with the animals. And the animals fuck their ass up. Like that one individual was filming some lionesses. And what happened? They tore his ass up, they ate him, and then one of the lioness grabbed the camera and walked away with the camera. You know? Basically, you know, they gangstered his camera from him. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Yeah. So don't fuck with them snakes. Why? Because they are snakes. It says, for a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. See? An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. And this is what you see going on right now. This new world order is a pit. It's a trap. So they're talking nice to the people to get them in the trap. Once they get them in the trap and the trap is sprung, then the truth can come out. Elder Apostle Gabar from time to time brings out the scenario of the movie Pinocchio at the end. You know, where the kids were all festive, you know, going to Funland or whatever that was. And what happened? It was a trap. You see? And that's how these devils operate. They'll be all nice to you. You know, you think, damn, this is the nicest person I ever met in my life. But that's just their mechanism. That demonic way that they deceive people. You know what they say? You could catch more. How did it go? You could catch more flies with honey than with shit or something like that. I can't think the exact terminology. You know, just like when you go fishing. When you go fishing, you don't throw stones into the water. You just sit still, let your fishing pole, let it go in the water with the bait, and eventually you'll catch the fish. But if you stir things up, the fish ain't gonna come. So that's why he has a calm demeanor about him. That's why he's so so-called nice, because that is a part of his deception. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes. Oh yeah, because our major concerns is the public. Our major concern is the public. We want to make sure that public safety is number one, numero uno. Numero uno. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Remember the Georgia Guidestones. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. And this is what they're trying to get, because Bill Gates, when he gave that speech about the population and the emissions, carbon emissions, he said one of these numbers has to be brought down to zero. And the ones that was, they had different things up there, but one of them was the population. Because they want to depopulate this earth. There's too many people according to them. So it says, he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend, that's the key, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Because at the end of the day, they're not here for our favor. They're here for their agenda. He will shake his head and clap his hand and whisper much and change his countenance. And you'll see it. Sometimes they show you that in movies. You have people that, in the movies they have people that act all nice and kind, but then when they finally got you in a jam, then the true person of them comes out. And you'd be like, oh shit, motherfucker, I didn't know you was like that. Excuse my medieval Sanskrit. So this is Ecclesiastes 25:15. There is no head above the head of a serpent, and there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. And they have wrath in them because they want to establish their new world order. They want everybody under control through the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. And these different scenarios that they're painting and these different councils that they're having, they're trying to find out which is the best way to get everybody chipped, the quickest. And this could be very well be one of those ways. So it says, okay, let's move on. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So they're trying to push everything into order because they know they're running out of time. Let's look up the word short. Short time. Kairos is time. Oligos. Little, small, few, of number, multitude, quantity, or size, a time, short, a degree of intensity. So they have a short time. And that's where they're going to come down with great wrath. Remember, 2 Ezra 15, it says what? It said, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but wasting and spoiling them that fear the Lord. Wrath. Let's look up the word wrath. Thumos. Passion. Angry. Heat. Anger. Matter of fact, when we read about Alexander the Creep, when he came against the Medo-Persian Empire, it said he came against them with choler. That's extreme hate. And this is the same hate that Esau is going to come against Jake with, to establish this so-called new world order that they're trying to establish. Was it here? Let me just bear with me 1 second. Yeah. Daniel 8 and 7. And I saw him, meaning Alexander the Great, come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Let's look up this word, choler. With choler, marar, bitterness. To be bitter, show bitterness, to make bitter. So he came him and you know, like that bitter hate, you know, as they say, that bitter hate, that's what he came to them as. And this is what this devil is coming down with, because they know that he has but a short time. So that wrath, it says, forthwith boiling up and soon subsiding again. Woo! Glow, ardor, the wine of passion, inflaming wine, which either drives the drinker mad or kills him with his strength. So they done got drunk off of their own wine, and they're coming, you know, they're coming to collect. They're coming to collect. Now this is a couple other. And this all ties in back into the pestilences and the plagues of the scriptures. San Francisco activates emergency operations center to prepare for coronavirus. So these devils are getting ready. This was the 27th of this month. They're getting ready. You know, they see the spread. You know, and they're putting, because they already know what they're gonna do, but you know, they have to make it seem like, oh, we're just getting prepared. You already know what's coming. The next one, Philippines to deport 500 Chinese people to prevent the spread of coronavirus. You know? So they're getting rid of these so-called Chinese citizens to send them back to China, you know, so that they won't so-called get infected. But if they were infected and they was already there, it could be too late. This is from RT, WHO, which is a World Health Organization, declares international health emergency over coronavirus outbreak. This came out yesterday, you know, which brothers did, you know, lessons on this. And if you notice, the doctor or whoever this is got this mechanism that and he's pointing it to her forehead. What is he doing? Taking her temperature. Like they did, you know, you hear the Apostle Tahar speak about it on their movie I Am Legend. They did the same thing. Because remember, when you were sick and when you were a child and you were sick, what did your mother usually do, or your pops? They would put their hand over your forehead to see if you had a fever. So that's what they're doing here. And if they have a fever, there's a chance that they may have the virus, so they have to quarantine them. You see? So this one here, this is something else. Deadly Legionnaire's disease outbreak at North Carolina Mountain State Fair was likely caused by hot tubs on display. So all different types of stuff are happening, man. You know? All different types of plagues and pestilences and viruses. Earthquakes. You know, you heard about the earthquakes that were supposed to come through. What was that? Cuba, Jamaica, and those different places. So things are happening, man. They're moving because the Lord is visiting the earth, you know, that he spoke of. Matter of fact, let's finish out with that. We read this scripture a lot because it's pertinent to the times. 2 Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. So when you start to see these signs that the Lord spoke of, at the end it shall speak and not tarry, then shalt thou understand. So this is why we have to measure the time and look to what's coming. Then shalt thou well understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And we're seeing these things happening, and we're seeing them increasing. And it's no coincidence that the Spirit got on Elder Apostle Tahar to call 2020 the year of prophecy. And that's all that's been taking place from the beginning. You know, today is the last day of the month of January, and it's been nothing but a month filled with prophecies. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which we've seen, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. And we read in Isaiah, what is it, 42 and 9? That the matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 9. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. So the Lord already spoke these things, and the prophets went and gave the warning of them, and now they're happening. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonders and powerful works, and ending in effects and signs. And this is what we're seeing right now, the ending of Esau's kingdom, which are the ending of the prophecies concerning this empire. We're starting to see them speaking throughout the planet, because these are the signs and effects of the end. And this is what is meant by the end of the world, the end of Esau's rule, because he's the last one that's going to be sitting on the throne prior to Yahushua coming back and kicking him off that throne. Let's get that real quick, and we can end the lesson there. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 6. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also shall they what? Be ended. And by none other, because it's the Most High's decree. It's his word. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? So this is Ezra's asking the Lord. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world. He's the end of this age. All the empires that were supposed to rule from the beginning of time until the coming in of the kingdom of the Messiah, Yahushua, have all been have all risen and fallen. And now we're at the last empire, which is Esau, and they are falling. All right. Yahushua said, I seen Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So they're falling from this majestic state that they were in at one time, from this godlike state. It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So now we're at the point where Esau is on his downward spiral. You know, a couple more prophecies, and boom, he's out of here. All right, so like I said, I put all of these in the description box, all of these articles. You brothers could take a look at them. This has been scenarios of the devil. These are different scenarios that are playing out on the planet Earth because of this devil. But these are going to be the things that's going to bring him down. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalom. So things are happening, man. They're moving. Because the Lord is visiting the earth. You know, that he spoke of. Matter of fact, let's finish out with that. We read this scripture a lot because it's pertinent to the times. 2nd Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. So when you start to see these signs,